And welcome into another installment of the Ball Boys podcast. Here we are with our AFC East predictions. As you can see, no camera for Nolan in this episode. I'll probably edit in some meme over him. Currently a hurricane over his house. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? We picked audio over video. Sue us in the comments section if you want. But AFC East, Nolan, a division that we've been uber excited to get to. You're super high on the Jets this year. You live down in Florida, so you got the Dolphins ties. Obviously, hard knocks with the Jets. It's an exciting division, and it's a division that could really go a lot of ways. I think most people have a consensus fourth place team, which we'll get to, but I'm excited to hop into this division. I know you are too. We're going to do it how we do it previously. Talk about these teams in the reverse order of where they finished. Last year, the Buffalo Bills won this division pretty handily. 13-3 record, obviously missing a game due to the Damar Hamlin situation. Obviously, we know that played out well for them in the long run in terms of Damar's health. But the Bills won that division. They were bounced in the divisional round at home. Cincinnati came into their house and absolutely beat up on them. And we've talked about this all off season. Neither one of us is especially high on the Bills, but I want to ask you, throughout the offseason, now that some of the Diggs, Allen drama has died down, are you coming around on the Bills, or do you think the window is closed and there needs to be a new regime in Buffalo with Josh Allen still at the helm, of course, but McDermott out, maybe Diggs gone? Or do you think this team still has a shot?
Yeah, I think the window's very slim. I'm not going to officially close it yet, because Josh Allen, he's an awesome quarterback, and they got a lot of weapons on that team. But like you mentioned before, bro, like the Bills team, you could see the writing on the wall. This whole Diggs drama. He said like there's no like rumors about it, but when there's smoke, there's fire, especially with that kind of stuff. And just this season, Von Miller, he's out, I think, for the first 4 games. That's a big loss. I mean, it's for me, I think the biggest thing is that they're in a tough division and they don't have any cakewalk games for them. And then also add into the AFC schedule, like the other opponents, like that's a tough schedule and they're going to need a lot of firepower. And I just don't think they have it this year.
Yeah, I certainly think the Bills could serve by potentially adding another wide receiver weapon throughout the season. There's still some Gabe Davis believers out there. You and me are both avid fantasy players. I'm out on him. I'm sure you're the same way. The team did try to add a weapon, of course, drafting Dalton Kincaid. I think that he's an absolute beast. We'll see how quickly he transitions to the NFL level. Usually it takes tight ends a little bit longer. Von Miller, still on the pup to start the season. So for at least the first 4 weeks without him, you think this is just we'd rather have you for the playoffs. We know we'll be a good regular season team without you move?
I don't know, bro. It's for me that they do have a nice identity on the defense. Obviously Damar, he's a huge identity for them coming back. I don't know how good he is, but I love the story. But defensively, I think they'll be all right. But for me, it's just the whole team. I feel like I feel like the wheels are gonna fall off. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, this feels like a very make or break year for the Buffalo Bills in what direction they're going to go into. A couple years ago in an AFC championship, then they were in a competitive divisional round game last year getting blown out. So step after step back for Buffalo, despite a lot of success in the regular season, back-to-back 13-win regular seasons. The personnel, Allen, Cook, Diggs, Davis, Kincaid, Knox. They have the 22nd ranked offensive line. It's not good, but with Josh Allen's mobility, it makes up for it a little bit. 7th ranked defensive line when Von Miller's healthy. Obviously, still Gregory Rousseau, Ed Oliver. And the secondary, it's 10th ranked. You have Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, and Micah Hyde. A lot of injuries to that secondary last year, which definitely did not help them against Cincinnati with their studded wide receivers. They need that defense to stay healthy, especially if you're going to play a Cincinnati, a Kansas City, which you will to have to get to a Super Bowl. These AFC teams, like you mentioned, great quarterbacks, great weapons. You have to compete. Either Gabe Davis needs to take a jump or they need to make a move. But either way, I think I agree with you. The window is still slightly open. I think for me, it's open more than it is for you. After some kind of reflecting, I'm a little higher on Buffalo than I was a couple months ago when we made that controversial video where we said the Bills window was closed, and obviously Bills fans came at our throats, but we'll see it in our predictions. Now, finishing in second in that division last year, the Miami Dolphins at 9-8. Obviously, the huge storyline for them all season was Tua Tagovailoa. He started the season having really MVP caliber numbers. He wasn't going to have my vote, but he was in conversations. You know, him versus Justin Herbert was a real conversation last year. People forget. And then, of course, the concussion after concussion. Will he even play again? It looks like he's going to. This team brought in Jalen Ramsey. Then he gets hurt. So now they're looking at a December debut for him. You still have Tyreek. You still have Waddle. But I know the college kids, and especially the 8-ball, really love the Dolphins this year. They have some Super Bowl future bets on the Dolphins. Do you see that as a realistic outcome for them?
I think if they had any other quarterback, I would highly believe in them. But for me, I saw this on Twitter, I think it was this week. Somebody called him Tua turn the ball over. So for me, that's like they have an awesome coach. I love McDaniel. Their offense is great. All the lines a little shaky. Defensively, they have a lot of dogs in the defense. But for me, I hate Tua, bro. I just think him as a quarterback, especially when he plays good defenses, good teams, he just can't really keep up with them. I know he played good beginning of the year. That Ravens game was awesome. But for me, I've never been a Tua guy. I probably never will. And, that's, I think, the only thing that's holding them back. And I'm really curious to kind of see how he plays this year because obviously his contract, is this upcoming season. So he has a lot to prove.
Yeah, staying on the field being the number one thing to prove. You wonder if Mike McDaniel's a little Kyle Shanahan Jr. in that as long as he's got good weapons and a good defense, he can make it work with any quarterback. Is Tua that good, or is Mike McDaniel just showing you that he can do what Kyle Shanahan can do and take mediocre quarterback play far? We saw him take Skylar Thompson head-to-head in Buffalo and almost win that game.
Oh.
We talked about the defense, though. I don't think we gave it enough love. This is, when healthy, a top 5 defense in the NFL. Defensively, their D-line is ranked 4th per PFF. You have Wilkins, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, bunch of dogs on that line. In the secondary, with Jalen Ramsey, per PFF is ranked 2nd. You have an elite cornerback duo of Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. That might be better than our Eagles cornerback duo, Bradbury and Slay. I'll say it. And, you still have Javon Holland at safety there. So a lot of playmakers on that defensive end for Miami. If Tua can stay upright, I'll say it. This team's got the potential. I think Tua's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Tua's better than Brock Purdy. And those are the guys that Shanahan was rolling into NFC Championship games. Now, obviously, the AFC is more competitive, so it might be a little harder. But I certainly think if this Dolphins team gets hot at the right time, you have guys like Waddle and Tyreek who can make things happen. If Tua just doesn't turn the ball over, they can go far in a postseason. But moving forward, the New England Patriots finished 8-9 last season, good for 3rd in the division. Now, the big story of the Patriots over the last week has been, as of right now while we're recording, they have one quarterback on the roster, and that's Mac Jones. Bailey Zappi was signed to the practice squad, but you got to question the GMing of Bill Belichick. And I get it, Bill Belichick's one of the GOATs, so you really don't like to bring him into question. But what I've seen from him over the since Tom Brady left at the GM, has been really, really bad. And I think if it wasn't Belichick, the GM might have been dismissed at this point. The offseason moves, you bring in Juju, Gesicki, and some other minor offensive pieces, and you bring in Bill O'Brien, who I'm not a huge fan of, but I guess he's an upgrade. Since last season, you had special teams guys doing your offense, but overall, I'm not a huge fan of this Patriots offensive group. Do you have any hope for them offensively?
It is tough because I feel like I love their defense. I think they have an amazing defense, but I hate Mac Jones. I just can't stand the way he throws the ball. I don't like the way he plays.
Nolan adds Alabama quarterbacks to the list of quarterbacks he hates. Ohio State and Alabama quarterbacks, get them out.
Yeah, but it's tough because I love Stevenson. I thought that Zeke signing was really good, actually. He's an awesome goal line guy. Receiver-wise, it's tough. I think the thing with the Patriots is I think Belichick is so used to his old school ways offensively, and obviously having Brady didn't help. that he kind of hasn't adjusted to having that high-powered, high-octane offense and kind of just relying on the defense. I think that's like their main culprit.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is certainly going to keep them in games. Belichick's a great in-game coach, a great schemer. I think this Patriots team is going to give your favorite team more of a run for their money each week than you're comfortable with. I think they're going to squeak out some wins, especially against bad teams. I expect this Patriots team to be similar to last year, where they beat up on the bad teams and were competitive with the good teams until the firepower was just too much. Obviously, we both got love for the defense. Matt Judon, I think, is one of the most underrated players defensively in football today, and as well in their secondary, 12th ranked for PFF. I'm an Oregon guy, so I'm excited to see Christian Gonzalez get to be head coached by Bill Belichick. Yeah, I thought it was a great pick too. I'm a huge fan of them on the defensive side, but offensively, in a loaded AFC, in a league that's moving more towards offense, Mac Jones, Stevenson, Juju, Devontae Parker, it's just not good enough. And, we could be frank about it. Patriots fans might be mad, but you're not going to be able to stay in games with Kansas City, with Cincinnati, hell, not even with Buffalo at this point in your division. And we haven't talked about the Jets, and I know you're a huge fan there, but not with the Jets, not with the Ravens, not with the Chargers. And at this point, I've listed more than half the AFC. Point being, the Patriots, they got to get something going on the offensive end. And to be honest, I think that starts with Bill Belichick being relieved of his duties as general manager.
Do you think this is his last year?
Not as coach. And the thing that I wonder is his ego so big that Kraft can't remove him from one without removing him from the other? And
Yeah.
Belichick's just kind of earned the right to stay, try and pass Don Shula's record, and the Patriots are willing to live at this 500 spot. Kraft said he expects his team to win the Super Bowl, which, like, I get what you're saying. You're going into the year with high hopes, like every team does. But if that's his realistic expectation, then maybe. I mean, because I don't think this team is anything but 500 or less. We'll get to records, but if your expectation is Super Bowl and you're last in the division, I mean that could be fireable. I don't know. We'll see. But speaking of last in the division, last year the New York Jets finished with a 7-10 record, perhaps the worst quarterback room in NFL history. Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White, the three lowest QBRs of any starting quarterbacks with enough snaps last year, all belong to the three quarterbacks on the Jets. Of course, the big offseason news, the team brings in Aaron Rodgers, perhaps the most talented quarterback of all time. Obviously, the defense was stout last year. Sauce Gardner wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. The secondary is ranked first per PFF. The defensive line is ranked 14th. They give Quinnen Williams that huge extension. You have Dalvin Cook, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, Tyler Conklin. Now, that I laid out the New York Jets, I'm going to give Nolan the floor here because he has been dying to talk about this Jets team since we started these previews. He is the highest on them of anybody that I've seen. The floor is yours, Nolan.
All right, listen. Last year I was watching the Jets, and I have a lot of friends from school. Obviously you two probably know a decent amount in the New York area, and they've been starving for not even a quarterback, just an identity to get back to even the Mark Sanchez days. Those weren't even that great, but that brought some spice to their life. All right, so I think now that they have Aaron Rodgers, which I'm not the biggest Aaron Rodgers guy, but I think he's the perfect guy for this team. Hey, that offense, I know their O-line's a little shaky, but I love that Dalvin Cook signing. You got Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook, solid duo. All right. You brought in Allen Lazard, you got Randall Cobb. Garrett Wilson's an alpha dog, bro. Last year he was balling with Mike White, and I mean, you got Aaron Rodgers now. So I think that whole offense, I think it'll get it really going, especially when they're playing the Bills and Dolphins. Defensively, they've been awesome defensive unit. Even last year, they showed really good signs. Obviously, got Sauce. He's questionable. You could even put him as like one or two in the league in cornerbacks. Salah, he's not my favorite coach, but I think he has the perfect person to get this team on track. Especially because I feel like he'll let Rodgers be Rodgers, and he won't really get into the way of what's his name, LaFleur did last year,
It
or even
seemed like
the
that on Hard Knocks for sure.
yeah, yeah. So I think just that whole identity, even just watching Hard Knocks, like I feel like they have that whole team chemistry, and the season hasn't started. So I think they really are starting to gel. And you look at the AFC East, the Bills, they have problems already. The Dolphins, they have injuries, question marks, and the Jets. I feel like they're the most well-rounded team going into the season, and they have so much to really like explode and show the league like what they got.
Yeah, and I will say for anybody watching, Nolan referenced Hard Knocks, but he has not fallen into the Hard Knocks trap here. This guy has been on the Jets since July. Before Hard Knocks was even announced for the Jets, he was telling me that the Jets were going to be that team. He called his shot a while ago. I'm sure Hard Knocks definitely added some fuel to the fire, if you will, but you've been on them. And here's the thing, right? The Jets won 7 games last year, and you could look at that either way. They won some games that they probably shouldn't have won. So are they a true 7-win team? I don't know. But they had the worst quarterback play you could have. Aaron Rodgers last year, did he fall off? Even if he's where that's at, a middle-of-the-road quarterback, it's an upgrade for the Jets, and it could make them a playoff team. And if Aaron Rodgers can get back to that MVP level, this team realistically can be in the Super Bowl. They have a true alpha one, 2 really good running backs, a great defensive tackle, and the best secondary in football. Now, with that being said, let's move into our predictions here. Nolan, give us 4-1 in the AFC East. If you got records, give them out. If not, just kind of a guess at win totals.
All right, so I got the Jets at 4 now. I got the Patriots at 4. I'm gonna give them 6 wins, 6-11. I think that's reasonable. I think they'll be very competitive in a lot of games. I just don't think they will win those games. Third, this is tough for me. I'm back and forth. The Dolphins injuries, obviously Ramsey, the old lineman, I forgot his name, got hurt. There's just a lot of stuff that I don't like about the Dolphins, but I picked the Bills to place in third, so I got to stick with the Bills. I'm going to say the Bills come in third. I say they get – I'm going to say 9 wins. 9 wins. Hey, bro, if this video blows up, bro, I'm going to get
Buffalo, Bills Mafia is coming for Nolan.
So 9 wins for them. I'm gonna take the Dolphins with 10 wins. I think, like we mentioned, like they're a well-rounded team, and if Tua can stay healthy, I think they can really make a lot of noise. And I wouldn't be surprised, if they really made a run. Obviously, Jets first place. 11 or 12 wins. I don't really know for sure, but at first place, I've been ride or die with the Jets, and I'm excited, bro. It's a week away from the first game, and they're playing the Jets, play the Bills week 1, Monday night,
yeah,
bro.
huge tone setter for the season.
And that's the one thing about the Jets that a little worries me is they have a lot of tough games at the start of the season. And for a team like that, they need a couple games to really gel and get some chemistry. But
we'll find out what they are early.
Exactly. So we'll hope they get the motors.
If they come out of that first 6-game stretch before the bye, 4-2, watch out.
Yes, sir.
Watch out. Now, my rankings. Of course, we have the same last place team, the New England Patriots. I have them at 6-11. I went on them earlier. They don't have the offensive firepower. Bill Belichick and that defense can only do so much as we move forward into this offensive-minded passing league. The GMing, it's behind Belichick. I have them about 6 wins, and I don't think Mac Jones is dynamic enough to be good with mediocre weapons. And Juju Smith-Schuster is a mediocre weapon at a wide receiver 1. I know what Mahomes did with him. Mac Jones ain't no Mahomes. In third place, I have the Miami Dolphins. All the injuries really concerned me. They're a team that I thought was a fringe playoff team and worried about Tua, now Jalen Ramsey, Teron Armstead, Jeff Wilson to the IR today. A lot of injuries piling up early for Miami. I have them at 9 or 10 wins. I have them at the 10 mark right now, but, I might have to bump them down to 9 going forward. I don't have them making the playoffs. In second place, when I first did these rankings, I have the New York Jets. I'm still keeping the Jets in second place, but I had them at 10 wins. I think I'm going to bump them up to 11 and into a playoff spot. I think certain things are starting to feel right there. I think the vibes are up in New York. I like the Dalvin Cook signing, the defense, keeping Quinnen Williams, having that number 1 ranked defense, No real injuries of note. You know, the Randall Cobb hit in that preseason game, I don't know if you saw it. I think it was a tone setter. I think it was these Jets saying, hey, we're here to like kick ass and take names. And listen, is it going to be a fine? Absolutely. Is Aaron Rodgers probably going to pay it for him? Maybe. But so I have the Jets in second at 10 or 11 wins. And in first place, I have the Buffalo Bills at 11 wins. And my reasoning is the Dolphins and Jets have a lot of change going on. And the Bills, they are what they are. And they are a good regular season team. Now, I have them taking a step back because I think the AFC got better as a whole. But Buffalo is still a really, really good regular season team. Von Miller will be back. We know what Josh Allen can do throughout a season. He'll be in MVP conversations again. And for the Jets, the thing that I just really can't have them over the Buffalo Bills in the regular season is the start to that schedule. You know, those first 6 games, you have Kansas City, you have Buffalo, you have Philadelphia, you have Dallas, you have New England early on. It's tough sledding for them early on, and I could easily see them coming out of that 2-4 into the bye. And it's just a rough start in a jam-packed AFC. In a playoff game, you know, we'll see where we're cooking at then, but I have Buffalo winning this division at 11-6. Be sure to let us know who you have winning the AFC East in the comment section down below. If you're not following the College Kids Experience on Twitter, what are you doing? You want to win some sports bets? Go follow those guys. It's just like free money at this point. Give me and Nolan a follow as well. If you want to see me talk more, check out my YouTube channel. And we'll be back this weekend, Monday, Tuesday maybe. NFC East, our last preview, and then we are on. We are cooking to 2 podcasts a week for the NFL season. Peace.
Yeah.